Welcome to this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through the industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have Nicholas Lorizio. He is the co-founder and CEO of Astute, and we'll be talking to him about how AI is impacting businesses in the real sense. Welcome to the show, Nick.
Hi, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me, AJ.
You're welcome to the show, Nick. You are welcome to India in this online form. And I'm sure a lot of people, not just in India, but across the world, will benefit from what we are going to talk about. We'll be talking about understanding the real impact of artificial intelligence in business. So, my first question is, Nick, we are all hearing about all the good words, also about artificial intelligence, but for a lot of common people, we are, as a common person, we are reading also about the news about how artificial intelligence is taking away jobs and will take more jobs. And they are putting the numbers even conservatively as 40% in the coming years, but many people are talking that it will be much, much higher than that. Help us understand this part of artificial intelligence, Nick, whether we are there, artificial intelligence or technology is for us, or humans are there for artificial intelligence and revolve around it. Let's start with this.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again for having me. So, when it comes to artificial intelligence, look, we're already seeing the trend happening. Until really recent times has mass layoffs been a normal procedure throughout organizations, right? The goal has always been to grow, expand, hire, and retain talent. When we look at AI, the types of jobs that are really being impacted are the white collar profession, and even more specifically, it's the tech industry, right? Now, growing up, that was the golden ticket. I wanted to become a tech professional. I wanted to work in sales. I wanted to make a great living early in my career, have a nice wedding, start a family, buy a house, all that, right? And over the last few years since the pandemic, we've seen hundreds of thousands of jobs get cut in my industry, right? And AI is just one component. It's probably the largest component as to why these jobs have been eliminated. But really, what we're going to see is a recalibration, a recalculation in the market where these jobs are going to be repurposed, as well as we're going to see a lot of innovative startups and small businesses emerge, which is really exciting for this country in particular.
Right, right. But we have to also understand this is what people are saying. People who have an interest in artificial intelligence are saying. But in terms of businesses, when people are getting cut, how would the businesses look like? For small businesses, for them, adopting technology is becoming difficult because of the cost or the different type of technologies that they require. Also, small businesses do not need very high level of technology, maybe some technology that you may need for automation. Then artificial intelligence, it is like cutting off the hands that are feeding you. So technology people who are creating artificial intelligence, they are getting moved out of the system. That is where I want to understand then what will we do with artificial intelligence. I know it has its benefit. For me as a creator, it is helping me in my work, but even without it I could do things. So what I want to understand is that, is it an explanation that has been given by some of the people who want to control industries, control the fate of humanity, or is it actually going to help? How should I, as an individual in a rural part of my country, and I, as a business, small business, again in anywhere, any part of the world, look at artificial intelligence? You are a technology person, you know about all these things, and you have written a book. We will come to that about digitalization, the new normal of the post-pandemic world. We'll come to that. But help us understand that, because these are confusing times, and artificial intelligence, chat GPT or anything else will not going to answer me that. And the people who are creating that narrative, they will create the narrative only from their own point of view and not from the point of view of, of general people. So maybe you will be able to help us understand how should I look at it as a normal person, simple person, and also as, especially as a small business.
Well, as a small business, it's incredibly advantageous. You're able to automate simple tasks that are quite daunting or just not really fun work to do, right? It's data entry, it's analytics, it's all of that kind of grinding stuff that you really that just sucks up time and you just have to do it. Which is great. I mean, look, Microsoft years ago released something called Focus Time, right? And that what that did is it optimized your calendar and blocked off 2 hours every day of the week where you have the ability to sit down and actually get work done, right? It looked where you had the least amount of meetings, it looked when you were the most productive, and it said, okay, we know that people are really only productive about 2 hours on. And that's when you're actually doing work, you're doing creative work, you're optimized proficiently. So what's interesting is we're going to see more of that creative work. We're going to see less of those daunting tasks, less of that monotonous like data entry work. So I think this is a really exciting time for creatives, for communicators, for that type of mindset. So we're going to see a lot of change. We're going to need to see a lot of change in managerial styles, right? You can't, have someone necessarily chained to a desk today with remote working capabilities, right? So how you manage people, how you encourage them to create content, be an influencer online, get on podcasts, put yourself out there. It's not necessarily a direct communication over the phone as much as it used to be, right? Or a cold call, or hey, it's a numbers game. I'm going to call this person 10 times and then they're going to like me and maybe buy something. No, it's let's build an actual relationship. It's a consultative type of engagement with your customer prospects and networking engagements. And it's really this kind of podcast format, which is different and fun and exciting at the same time. Now, I'm able to use AI in a lot of different ways, and Astute actually has its own proprietary Astute Advisor, right? That took everything up here, and I've put tons of inputs into there and how I interact with it so that others can benefit from it as well, right? So as long as you're subscribed to GPT-4, you have access to my tool, which is fantastic. And it's important that you want to trust that creator, right? And I believe what they're going to do eventually is just do a revenue share model, which is fantastic. It's mutually beneficial. So what's great about my tool as opposed to others is I've actually over the last 3 years I've taken all the work that I've put into my startup, right? Everything from how I went about my book editing and publishing to patent writing to blog posting to LinkedIn posting to descriptions on TikTok. Everything has a different nuance to it and character limits, style, all of that. So all of that data has been put into Astute Advisor, right? So which is a fantastic resource for anybody that wants to leverage, how I've optimized it recent times,
Right.
which is
Right, Nick. Help us understand. I was about to come to that Astute Advisor platform. You talk about it's an AI tool that excels in offering expertise in cybersecurity, IT infrastructure, and software development, with a special emphasis on the integration of AI and IoT technologies. Is that what it is all about? Help us understand. And how can is it only for creators? Is it only for or businesses also can use it? What is the best? Break it a bit in a simple person's language so that we can, people, especially people have in India, use technology a lot. They can also start using it if it works for them.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're a small business owner, this is a fantastic tool to start using, right? You can do a lot of self promoting, a lot of blog posting, a lot of posting across your different social channels, writing scripts for video, uh, FaceTime with documentaries with the camera. So you can do a lot there. Um, it also will help you because a lot of small businesses or one man shops, you know, don't have the resources to hire technical talent, right? A lot of small businesses don't have in-house IT departments. They're not working with a large firm like a Microsoft and Apple directly, right? Which I just read today that those two companies combined have a larger GDP than the Japanese stock market, which is fantastic,
Yes.
which is very interesting, very interesting. So, these guys, and there's really like five major tech players out there, are not going to deal with a small business. So having a tool where I've, put an endless amount of time into, resource wise, and how do I structure my environment? How do I structure my technology? How do I, maybe do some simple best practices to secure my small business? Maybe I have 10 people and I want to enforce multi-factor authentication. Maybe I want to make sure that I have backups running, right? Just really, simple practices that everyone should be doing, but they might not have the technical know-how or the resource to do that.
Right. Right. So you talked about revenue sharing and podcasts, especially, they are struggling with monetization. And that's the big word that they keep on talking. Does your platform have any solution to this part also? Help us with that.
Absolutely. So we're a technology services company. So we have a monthly plan for protecting. It's a per user pricing. So looking at internet traffic, the 24/7 monitoring, the virus scans, all of that is covered. So we offer services and provide services, as well as we have our own proprietary platform called Astute Connect, which actually brokers the engagement between the IT professional or cybersecurity expert and the business or personal entity on the other end.
Right, right, Nicholas. So, what is the best way where people can, access this platform? What is the website for this, or what is the process for them to use this?
Absolutely. So astutetechnologist.com will be the best resource, as well as like info at astutetechnologist.com. Our team will be very responsive. We're happy to engage with any potential clients. So we do have those resources available. Astute Advisor is available today. You can actually go to the GPT store and start playing around with it immediately, right now, if you'd like. It's a lot of fun. So I would highly recommend starting there. I'd highly recommend going on and checking out my blogs, and then just reading about our business model. And it's a very exciting time. We have a lot of great things coming down the pipeline, as well as our mobile.
Right, right. Very exciting time indeed. Let's look at the future, whether the future will be as exciting or it can be difficult one. Even the people who are talking about developing technology, Altman, Jeffrey Hinton, they have all talked about that AI can, if it goes wrong, it can go really very wrong. But let it be that we'll see in the future. As of now, let's talk about your book, Digitalization, the New Normal of the Post Pandemic World. Tell us about this. You talk about how technology is reshaping our world. What have you dealt in this book? Why did you write this book, and who is this book for?
Well, this is for the everyday common man. So really what I wanted to do is spread awareness about cyber attacks, right? So I spend about the first three parts of my book speaking at a high level and getting into the weeds a little bit, as well as providing real world examples of how cyber attacks can impact your business or your home and family. So I go into great detail about all the benefits of AI and autonomous vehicles and e-commerce and all these different amazing things that happened and all the innovation that was accelerated during the pandemic, right? However, it's a double-edged sword because now we're seeing this massive increase in cyber attacks, right? Like just recently, 2 days ago, that we found out, Microsoft, right? Probably the largest player. I'm a fan, right? It's an easy to manage tool. I would say they're very good at everything. However, they're not an expert in one particular area. However, from an IT management perspective, having everything under one pane of glass is very efficient. So I've used Microsoft in the past. I've always been a fan. And at the end of the day, they probably control your operating system, right? So listen, they got attacked. Some of their largest executives that report directly to Satya were hit by this attack. And it was a nation state attack, right? So I've always spoken to how difficult that is to prevent, right? An entire nation like Russia coming in and, brute forcing, right, in typical Russian fashion, their way into the most senior executives at Microsoft, the largest United States organization. So it's fascinating to see that these attacks can really impact everyone, and that's what we're looking to do as a third party is to come in with a strong reputation and be that trusted third party to stop and prevent these things and incidents from happening and spreading to the public.
Right, right, Nick. Talking of, cyber security, data security, is there is there something called, security in today's time, however secure if we might feel in terms of our data privacy? Is there something like that left? Because I have been talking to a few experts, several of them said, that you can do only as much as you can, but you cannot be 100% sure about it. Can we? Because most of the data is already we are sharing by ourselves, either on social media or by accessing any particular platform, or even on our mobile phones. How should I look at data security, my data privacy? How should I look at it? How can one, are there any special tips that you have that one can use to be secure? Everything is so connected, either through Alexa or anything else, or so many things are we are trying to integrate them all, and for some it might be one ring to rule them all, almost like that we are themselves giving the power to the companies themselves.
Well, I mean, you could always go get some chickens and cows and a well and move into the woods. I mean, there's always that route. So, but as a connected world, we don't always want to do that, right? And it's like that movie Leave the World Behind that recently came out. I didn't like the ending too much. I like people, I like socializing, right? So anyway, in this connected world, personally, I'm an open book, right? I've put myself out there. I know that these companies have had access to all my personal information. It's fine, right? So you can always keep, there's a number of things you can do, and it depends on how paranoid of a person you are, right? I try not to live too paranoid. However, it doesn't hurt to read a privacy policy, right? Like when Threads, the Instagram product that came out somewhat recently, first came out, they wanted to take access to everything on your device, your photos, your text messages, your contact information. And they did, right? So pretty much everybody that said, yeah, I want to download this, and just, most people don't even read the privacy policy. Open that thing up and take a look at all the data that you just gave Facebook access to. Right now, they're going to turn around and ad target you, knowing every single thing about you. Do you really want that? Right. So now is your decision making impacted because you've shared so much personal data with this large corporation that probably doesn't care too much about it? So I really think, personally, I like to do things like multi-factor authentication so that if somebody gets remote access to my system, at least I have another, device handy that says, "Hey, did I authorize this access?" Right? That's a great way, and roughly 80% of consumers don't even enable that feature, right? And that's a policy that we at Astute we actually enforce that for our clients. So it's things like that. It's making sure that your password's not password 01, whatever, right? Have a long format password. Don't share your password. Try and memorize it. Change it every 3 months or so, right? So there is some simple tips and tricks that are all can be found in my book that you can use and leverage, as well as just being aware and cognizant of what's happening and staying up to date and educated, because now with AI, the attacks are constantly evolving and getting more and more intelligent by the day. So I think it's really staying vigilant. It's listening to. We put a ton of free resources out there and education tools for people to look at and understand. I think that's a really great starting point for anybody to get started down that path.
Right, right, Nick. Also, be the way the technology is developing, what are some of the technologies that you are excited about? Whether that excites a common person or it takes away their power, I don't know. Only after you say we'll come to know what are the new technologies that you think are coming, which you are excited about. Let's see if we can also be excited with that.
Oh my gosh. Well, it's a number of so much has happened over these last few years. It's really it's mind-boggling at how fast technology has advanced. Um, personally, I'm a huge GPT fan. I think that by far has automated pretty much 95% of my day-to-day tasks, and it's really just incredible. And I'm more excited to see I believe a wave of innovation that really the world hasn't seen since the 80s. Um, so I'm excited to see this creative work reemerge. The not chained to a desk, send 50 robotic emails, open an Excel spreadsheet, fill in the data. Like all of that goes away and just frees up a tremendous amount of time on the calendar to have more conversations, right? Have more of a creative spark, right? It's going to bring an incredible amount of innovation in the world, and I'm super thrilled and excited to see what's to come.
Right, right. And one more question about your uh, connection with India. Do you work? Do you have any work in India? Do you have a team, or do you get work done from India? I want to understand a bit about that.
Well, absolutely. I noticed this trend years ago when we saw a lot of our tech companies CEOs like Satya and others, take over. And for a long time, we've had a great relationship with India. Um, and it's really exciting to see us give opportunities, right, to come over to the United States, right? Like, as a business owner, I can do things like working visas, right? So it's not just coming into the country illegally. It's, hey, if you work and earn your way for a business owner, you have an opportunity to come and live here. And then that's the amazing part about our relationship with India. It's some of the most hardworking people that I've ever worked with, and I'm really happy with our team over there. And I'm excited to continue that agreement and
Wonderful, wonderful. There is much to learn about technology, about a lot of things, how technology is shaping our world. So for those people who want to learn more about it, engage with you professionally, what is the best way for them to connect with you?
Absolutely. So you can go to astutetechnologistplural.com, as well as I'm on pretty much every social channel. I like to be on every grid, if you will. So I'm on Instagram at nlorizio. I am on TikTok at nlorizio_official. Um, my book is a fantastic resource. You can't change a physical book, even though I am on my version 2. However, there's plenty of version 1s out there. Um, and yeah, I would check out Digitalization, the New Normal, the Post Pandemic World. Um, and I'm on YouTube. And I'm also doing my world tour. So I've done several podcasts in Dubai. I've done several in the United States, doing one in Indian audience as well. And I'm excited. So you'll see me on the web.
Wonderful. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.